All right, so the next option, modifying the payoff for a short sale. How do you modify a payoff? You basically say, I owe you this much money. It's only worth this much today. Let me sell it and modify the payoff to today's value. Let me be free of my responsibility with the bank. Please put this in writing so I can move on with my life. That's basically a short sale. So you're shorting the bank. They wanted this much. They're only getting this much. They are short the difference. Now that difference is called the deficiency. A lot of people say, oh, well, they're going to chase me for that difference, and that could be true. With the programs that we have, our goal is that that won't happen though. I only see them going after deficiency about 10% of the time. The other percent of the time they work something out, and that's true for investors as well. You got to give it a shot or you'll never know. If you don't do anything, then you'll just keep bleeding on your 1 property or your 2 properties or your 5 properties, and you'll never know. But I work with investors, and there's no rhyme or reasons with when you have to share in a loss with the bank, but I've worked with investors that are $5 million liquid in the bank, allowed to do a short sale and not have to pay a nickel to get out of the deal. And I've had the brokest of broke person that was told, if you don't come up with $5,000, we're not letting you out of this short sale. There's no rhyme or reason. It's because these servicers read guidelines. Those guidelines are given to them by investors. Those investors say, yes, we'll play, or no, we won't. So the goal is to get through that to find out where you stand. And granted, if you said, well, I owe you $100,000 that you're not getting back, if I can give you $1,000 or $5,000 to go away and not have to pay the $95,000 and you put that all in writing, let me do it. And then at least that way you're back on with your life. Some people can do that in a balloon, some people can do it over time, and again, some people don't have to do it at all. It just depends. Let's see. So the better route, benefits of the short sale. What I have found, and by the way, all these slides, the way I'm laying them out, are usually the layout of the way that you should entertain thinking, what should I do? And the reason that I say that is because they're going from no cost to, at the very end, what costs money. And the goal is to try to solve this problem with no-cost solutions as best as we can. And if we have to pay money, pay the least amount of money, but don't walk into the door the wrong place that's going to charge you up front and maybe not get you the service that you want. And we're going to talk about that. And today, some of our speakers that are here today will be able to add to that based on the stories that they see. So, benefits of a short sale. What I found, homeowners have the most control in this position. It's because a homeowner still owns the home in a short sale. They get to say, I'm making the final decision. They get an offer that comes in, and then as the offer comes in, they say, you know what? I agree with that. I'm going to let that go to the bank. And the bank says, I agree with it too. Let's put this in writing and get this deal done. The homeowner says, oh, but in writing it doesn't say you're not going to chase me in the future. I need a deficiency waiver. How do I get that? Well, with our services, we kick that back and try to get that deficiency language put in. Does it happen all the time? No, I already mentioned before, we got about a 5 to 10% chance that it doesn't work out. But it can be bought out. You can pay them to go away and get you the language that you want. That has happened. Or you can argue it out. And if you don't pay them directly to do it, you can always pay an attorney to do it. And sometimes attorneys work and sometimes they don't. So the network of people that we have with our organization are the ones that I think that you should talk with first, because we're going to talk about what you can get from them where there's no cost, where there's no advance fees, and where there's discounted fees. Or you can go out to the billboards that you see. And I'm pretty sure one thing I can guarantee about them or the commercials that you're seeing online is that there's going to be an upfront fee for service, maybe. Maybe it'll be rendered, maybe it won't. All right, so what are some benefits of the short sale? 1, the homeowner has the most control. 2, you can probably stay in the home. For people that are renting out the home, they're going to be able to get some rent during this time frame and maybe save a little bit of money. Another benefit of the short sale, save the money in the process, okay. Save the money because you might need it to move into the next property. You might need to put it in an estate plan to protect it, and we'll have an attorney speak to that here a little later today. You need to know where you stand with the bank. That's a good thing about the short sale, because if you did the short sale, again, they give you a letter. You know where you stand. If you say, I'm going to stick my head in the sand, you don't know what the bank is doing. You don't know where you stand. You don't know what they're doing. Or you might call them, and customer service sounds really friendly when they're on the phone with you. But customer service works for a debt collector. They have been trained, guaranteed, to collect. So they're going to be nice and friendly with you until you tell them, I'm sorry, I don't think I can afford my next payment. Then suddenly they start putting collection tactic on you. The other thing that you will find is maybe they'll say, well, let's put you in our friendly home retention program, and that's to put you into a loan modification. Well, their job is to also collect. And if you're not talking with them, then you're hearing them calling you or leaving messages, and that's the debt collector, and they're not so friendly. So another thing about benefits of a short sale is you don't have upfront fees or advance fees. So when you see the attorney ads and whatnot that are out there saying, I can short sell your home, you're paying them to start to do the job. And then what they're going to do is they're going to hire an agent and or an in-house agent, or sometimes the attorneys will be licensed to be able to do it themselves, but they're going to usually charge you an upfront retainer fee to do that. The solution to that is work with a real estate agent. The real estate agent is going to be able to basically work where they get paid for services rendered, meaning that if the deal doesn't close, they're not getting paid. You know, and granted, every realtor has a different model. Some of them are doing upfront fees, but if you work through our network, we'll get you in the right hands. Of course, I have my real estate license, and you'd be able to work with me directly, or any associate that I have, or anyone that would be in the network. You have no future credit ramifications and or less future credit ramifications. The reason that it's no is it's rare, but sometimes the banks will make a deal, if you give them money, to positively report on your credit that you never had a derogatory on your loan, and then you can move on and get a house. Literally, I've seen it in 6 months. I've also seen the bank make a mistake where there has been derogatories of missed payments on someone's property for 4 months. The home sells as a short sale, and then all of a sudden the bank closes the deal and it shows on the credit report as a modified payoff, and now it's paid in full. And the current balance is zero. The key is the word current balance being zero. That C goes on the credit report and repeats itself, and we'll have a slide coming up that will go into that a little bit further. Another benefit of the short sale is you haven't had a bankruptcy and or the costs or any penalties of doing that. Bankruptcies cost money. Usually if it's a Chapter 7, you've got to qualify for that. And a Chapter 7 is going to be less money, and that would be a total wipeout of debt. But now you're going to have to start paying fees. But you've avoided that with a short sale. So why not try another solution first? Because in a bankruptcy, you're usually going to have to give up something. And maybe it's not the house that you're in, but you will have to still pay on that house. Not during the bankruptcy period, but as soon as the bankruptcy is over, payments resume as normal. And what I've seen is that when you're not paying during the bankruptcy, the bank is taking your unpaid payment or any partial payment that you've got that does come in, and they're putting it in suspense. And we're going to talk about the difference between your actual account and a suspense account here down the road. Okay, tax gains. There are benefits to selling as a short sale. When you bought your house, or if you've ever sold a property, when you went into the title company, you had to do some documents. That's a HUD settlement sheet. That shows you the receipt of exactly what the expenses were on the file. Those expenses are in your name when you were the owner of the home, so those are expenses to use as a write-off. Now, when you own the home, and you're making your payments, usually you're getting your tax deduction of your interest payment as your write-off. When you sell a home, you can go back in and start to add on costs, and investors usually know this, for improvements. And they go back and they get the original HUD settlement when they bought the home and the settlement expenses of when they sell the home at this period of time. They add all that up, they take it to their tax man, and their tax man says, oh, you have a loss. Let's offset any future earnings that you have. So a lot of homeowners don't know that, and ones that walk away don't realize that when you walk away, the deed will switch back in through the foreclosure process into the bank's name, and the bank is going to sell the home. They're going to get those tax benefits when they sell, and then they're going to have the deficiency where you owed to what you could have sold for in this market. They're going to add on the cost of real estate costs, closing cost, the buyer's costs, the house was broken into costs, the repairs costs, the new paint job, and this is what's called a deficiency, and they're going to say, we lost money from the bank. We want a write-off. They're going to 1099 that, and who do you think gets the 1099? The homeowner. The homeowner gets a 1099, and then some people say, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal is the IRS also gets a copy of that. So the IRS now is under the impression that you benefited from the bank in some way, shape, or form because you didn't pay this debt. So now you have tax responsibility on that debt. So if it was, for easy numbers, $100,000 and you're in a 20% tax bracket, who knows the answer? How much do you owe the IRS? $20,000. So how do you offset that? Well, if you had the home and you owned it in the short sale, you would be able to use those expenses that were gathered up from when you bought it to when you sold it, and any improvements along the way, pools, landscaping, paint job, dig up those receipts, give them to your CPA, and talk to your CPA about this conversation. Now, here's my disclosure time. I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to be your attorney. I'm not a CPA, and I'm not here to be your CPA. But I'm talking to you about what you should be talking to these people about, and I'm happy to talk about that all day. I'm not here to give you the legal advice or the CPA advice, but I am telling you, from my advice to you is, just talk to them about these topics. If they forget these topics, if you're working with us through the network, we will be able to talk to your CPA directly and or refer you to CPAs that understand this, so that way you can move on. Let's see, other benefits. Faster recovery on the credit. So we talked about one way the bank could either make a deal with you to give you your credit back, or they can make a mistake to get you your credit back, and or you can just wait for the natural time frame that it takes for the credit to rebound. So I haven't missed a payment, I'm going to sell my house short, how fast will my credit come back? Usually, you're not going to have a derogatory on your FICO score, so that means that your credit's going to come back a little bit quicker. It usually starts to adjust back up, and it shows on the credit report a modified payoff, paid in full, and it usually tends to creep back up in about 6 months. But the lenders are not doing any loans to anyone really until about year 1. And we'll have a lender speak to that here later on. And then the loan product for that is usually a conventional or 20% down program, so it's not the end of the world. There's also some award-winning banks that are out there, like the NACA program. They will allow you to get a loan after 2 years with less money down, usually 0 to whatever you feel like you want to put down. But that program, again, has to have you in their network, and we can get you to them as well. And our lender today is going to speak of what you can do with the FHA programs and the conventional programs that they have to offer. Okay, you have the potential for relocation programs when you do a short sale. So a relocation program, a lot of homeowners don't know exactly what that is. If you need help getting out of the home, there's some government assistance programs, there's some state assistance programs that get government funding that help homeowners get out of the short sale situation and help them with a move. We can't guarantee it for all people, but what we can guarantee is we try to get it. Depending on who your investor is, the investor can voluntarily opt in. Of course, you say, I'm mandatory filling out the paperwork, I want the extra $3,000 or $6,000. But what ends up happening is the investor can volunteer out of the program. All right, but the goal is with the short sale, the goal is to be able to know where you're at, to give you the peace of mind, and ultimately reach your goals and get back on your feet. Get to where you have your life back in your hands and know exactly how it's going to play out.